Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. I have 6 o'clock on my phone. Would everyone please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
that stands one nation. Marie, would you take care of roll call?
Councilman Cooley,
Here.
Councilwoman Beck, here, Councilman Flitty. Jacob Flitty. Councilman Jerry Flitty.
Here.
And Mayor Davis.
Here. Thank you, Marie. Is there any questions or discussion on the agenda that's in front of you? Did I get approval of the agenda? Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Hey.
Okay. And then we have the approval of minutes from the last meeting. Everybody's had a chance to look through them. Are there any discussions, changes, anything that needs to be made? Could I get a motion to approve the minutes from the January 3rd meeting?
Make a motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then we'll go into the approval of the bills. It's like we had deposits in the amount of $192,558.20. Do I have a motion to so approve?
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Accounts payable in the amount of $169,266.42. Motion to pay.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We had the payroll of $34,145.65. Do I have a motion to make payroll?
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and we'll move on to transmittals in the amount of $11,616.57. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Good.
Motion carried. Okay, we'll move on to correspondence. Marie?
The first of correspondence is a letter from Two Rivers Wind Energy Project. And it's just a letter telling everyone that they're initiating the local permit applications required to construct. And they invite the public to provide input by email at projects@blueearth, BLUEARTH.ca, or by phone by 1-844-214-2578, or by mailing your comments to them. And it says to include your name, contact information so that they can follow up and talk to you directly.
Will that be, you'll post that on the website, so if people need their phone numbers or email addresses?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
The second correspondence is from Carbon County School District number 2 Recreation Board. And I believe they changed some of their guidelines. And so it's just a letter regarding their guidelines for their grant.
Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, we'll move on. Items from the public. Anything? Okay, anything from the council comments? Okay, we'll move on to reports from department. Town hall. It looks like the first thing we have is a master service agreement from Engineering and Associates. Craig? What I did, just so everybody's aware, I didn't have this printed out. It'll be printed out. One copy will be in the town hall because each one of these agreements are about 100 pages. And he's going to explain what's in it. And but they'll be inside the town hall for review. or you can get on your email. I believe you put it up for electronic review.
Correct.
So. Okay, all right, Craig,
So master service agreement is basically an EJCDC standard document that gets all the legal language out. It's a task order agreement. So it's task order project specific. So we can just go get projects moving quicker and get all the legal language out beforehand. It's a 5-year term. So it can be renewed at 5 years. Basically, we've had one with the town. We didn't have one for the last 5 years, but we've had one for many years prior to that. We have one with the Joint Powers Board amongst many other towns. So any questions, I guess, at this point?
they're in this agreement, all their fees are listed. What is provided by their documentation, if you want to review it,
So fees, liabilities, all that.
correct?
Insurance and everything else is in there. So.
Excuse me. Any other questions for Craig?
So we're looking at essentially an open PO or agreement there so it just simplifies our request for any work.
Correct.
Okay.
It just streamlines the process. So you're not tied to me, you're not tied to North Fork, you're not tied to anybody. You can get multiple master service agreements with whomever. It just cuts the red tape out at the beginning. So.
Okay.
I believe, and John can verify this, John Nelson, that there is one with TO Engineering. Is that correct?
I think the town currently has several master service agreements. PO would be one, they're doing the long line project. There's the airport engineer, current and former.
They switched, so I don't know. They switched engineering firms, I believe.
Yeah, so the current, the former one still probably has an active master service agreement, even though they're not actively engaged right now. The new engineer has a master service agreement,
Did you? Okay.
and I think who else might have one? WLC might have one because they were doing some work on the park.
Never forget me.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. So that's basically what they are. If we decide to use either one of these guys, we need a master service agreement. So I could get a motion to approve, to go ahead and sign a master service agreement with Engineering Associates. Second,
Signal, there you go.
Mike made the motion, Kathy second.
Second, yeah.
All in favor?
Thank
Okay, thank you. The next one will be from North Fork Engineering, Mr. Nelson. Want to present yours?
You bet. Mayor and council. Pleasure to be on this side of the podium. Craig covered the basics. I mean, it's just a template document. It has all of the, like you mentioned, liability insurance, dispute resolution, fees, rates, all that stuff's outlined. So like Craig said, it just gets all the legal BS out of the way so that if and when you guys choose to call on us for a proposal or to move forward with any work, all that stuff's taken care of. So I do have 2 copies here. If anybody wants to see them, I'll leave them with you guys if I may approach.
You may. Okay, great.
Um,
Luckily, I read through them because they come to me.
sure.
I was able to browse through both of them.
For standard language. And North Fork did have one executed back in 2017, which expired last year, but because I was on the council for conflict of interest, we didn't renew it. So that's essentially the same exact document. I changed the dates to have an effective date of today, but like Craig said, it's not an exclusive agreement. You guys can have as many different master service agreements with as many different engineering firms as you want. And doesn't guarantee any work. There's no retainer, there's no guaranteed anything. So this gets the heavy lifting on the paperwork side out of the way.
Thank you. Is there any questions for John? I entertain a motion to go ahead and sign the master service agreement with North Fork Engineering.
Make the motion.
Second,
So
all in favor? Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Get that signed and
If I may add one more thing, I would just like to say that the council right now or the town right now and the Joint Powers Board is currently engaged in a CMAR contract with Lewis and Lewis. It's construction manager at risk. It's one of a few different types of alternative contract delivery methods that's allowed by state statute. North Fork is particularly interested in those types of alternative delivery structures. So design, build, CMAR, things like that. So
Okay,
if you guys are curious to know more about how that statute reads and what it all entails and how you go through the bid process for all that stuff, I'm happy to visit with you or do a little presentation if you want.
sure.
That's whenever the time comes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. Before we move on, I'm gonna take just a minute. He reminded me, and I didn't do this at the last meeting, and I wanted to thank the outgoing council for their participation. You know, it's not always easy getting people to run for a spot. And I just wanted to thank them for the job they did and hope they have enjoyed their free time now. So if you'd pass that along to the other council members, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks, John. Okay, moving on, we'll move in. It's a public hearing for the clinic easement, February 1st, 2000. It's going to be February 21st, 2023 at 5:30 PM. Would you care to shed some light on that, Ellie? Bring us up to speed on where everybody's at.
The first thing is we need 3 weeks of public notice. And right now we have a revision being done to the appraisal because the first one came in including more property than we had originally asked for. So we'll have a new appraisal by the end of this week. Because the Valley Village project leader didn't catch the fact that
Any names?
didn't want to mention any names, didn't catch the problem. When the appraiser was being done, we're picking up the $1,000 charge for that. So it just delayed us a little bit. When that is complete, copy will go to the town attorney that's been working on this. And then we'll be able to post public notice for 3 consecutive weeks. And then we can have the public hearing before the town council. And can I just go into?
Sure.
Okay, so in the survey, which was done, and the deed and all of the title search, what came to light is that there is an easement. Have you all seen this?
You guys seen it?
Okay, let me.
You may have. Right.
Okay, so let me come on here. So basically what this shows is here's the clinic. And you can't see the hash marks here, but every bit of the parking and the access has an easement that has been given to this property here. The property as on the deed being given to the clinic building. Actually, the property line is right behind the parking places.
Yeah.
So unless we include that easement. See this, Kathy, and
I
like,
got it.
okay,
Makes them non-usable.
right, because we can't get into the parking places legally unless we have an easement. So and it's the same easement that went from the town to Anco. We're just asking that it be duplicated for this piece of property. Allows us to go in.
Shared easement, is that what you're looking for?
Yep. And the draft documents done by the town attorney and by our attorney already have that easement included. But I did notice that we have never brought this to your attention, and that's why we want to make it clear that you're not just asking the county.
Yeah.
It would just be an easement for egress, ingress,
And park.
and parking. And I talked to John Lasko with the town today, and they do snow removal in that area. A certain distance of it. That may be something we have to look at again, once you guys take it over.
Well, this wasn't on the agenda, but I think as we look at this as a collective unit, we all know that in front of the pharmacy, this parking access place is not really great. So I think that as we move forward, we need to have a joint conversation about what we collectively can do to improve that and make it better for everybody.
Yes, I would agree with that. I've been in the pharmacy parking lot and sometimes it's a zoo right there. You know,
Yeah,
We may, and we found out discussion, we may decide that the easements might be different or the way we use the property might be different. But I think that's a much bigger discussion than could we please use our parking places, which is all we're asking for.
yeah.
any questions?
The only thing I can see is into a fight over who's parked where.
Well, because of the way the easement's worded, our attorney says that there's, you can't. You can't.
Okay, it's worded that you guys are only wanting access to park on the end of the building.
Yeah, and so well, basically the pharmacy, because this is town property and that's town property, that you, the town, have rights to these parking places. You can
Yeah.
park there. We just can't come in on your property and get to our parking place.
Illegally without the easement.
So basically what it says is, we would like to just share in all the space just like you do. And you're right. Someone could say, well, those are my parking places. But in fact, because of the legal understructure, they're all open to everyone.
Okay.
And if we wanted to change that, we can discuss that later. I don't know that that's not worth dying over. Anything else?
Thank you.
Welcome.
Do you have any questions for the council?
No, I think we're all. Brings us another small problem.
Well, yeah. Wasn't really a big problem. It just cost a little bit of money to fix. You know, so,
Well, we've had,
and what it was, is the deed reflected the correct property where the appraisal included a piece of property that wasn't on the deed. So we would have had to change one or the other, and we decided that, myself speaking with the attorney, decided it'd probably be easier to switch the appraisal than it would be to change a deed.
because if we had tried to do it the other way, we would have had to redo the survey documents. So we had survey, appraisal, and deed. Changing the appraisal was the easiest path. And we never did ask for that additional parcel of land. And we don't have any reason to request it, so that it was the right.
So the appraisal come in and it's not right. So I'm not even gonna bring it up tonight. Because it'll change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else?
Buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Marie, if you would read that letter. This is a letter with the firm that the outgoing attorney, Jane Francis, was with. And what it is going out, we decided, and the council was involved with this, where we would retain them to finish the Randy Stevens deal and the clinic. Okay, the transfer of all that, because they, it's all but finished and they're right. So this is just a letter from the attorney's office saying that that's what they're gonna do. Also in there is, after speaking with, Kylie Walgrip, the new town attorney, they don't do anything with the municipal court. I was talking with Marie, she works closely with Patrick, who's in the same firm. And Judge Massey said that they work well together, so we'll retain Patrick to take care of municipal court. And just to give you a history of what they've done, they've cleaned it up where they're down to, I think Patrick said about 25 outstanding tickets that date back a long time ago. And they're trying to get all this cleaned up so everything's current. So we will retain him, and that's what this letter is about. So I don't know if you need to read the whole letter, just maybe a portion of it.
Okay. Dear Mayor Davis, thank you for the opportunity to represent the town of Saratoga. This letter will confirm that Sundall Powers Cap and Martin LLC will represent the client with regard to various matters as requested by the town council. Those matters include the following: Stevens versus Town of Saratoga, finalizing transfer of Corbett Medical Building to Valley Village Childcare, and handling all aspects of Saratoga Municipal Court and criminal prosecution. At this time, SPKM does not represent client regarding any other matters, but we are willing to discuss representing client in other matters as needed. The purpose of this letter is to provide client with a memorandum of the terms and conditions upon which legal services will be rendered. And then we look forward to working with you and trust that you will find that our services meet and exceed your expectations. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Yours very truly, Jane M. France.
So what I'd ask as council is for permission to sign this letter to finish up these matters and to retain Topic as the municipal court attorney. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Marie. And then we'll move on. The next item will be special events application of Frozen 4.
I'm Dana Davis from the Saratoga Museum Director. We're just asking permission to once again hold the Frozen 4 on the Saratoga Lake. This will be the fourth year, I believe, that we've had it, and it is our biggest fundraiser of the year. Kind of just here, if you have any questions. When?
What is it?
What is it? It's frozen golf. What it is, it's ice golf on, yeah,
Okay.
lake. Using tennis balls rather than golf balls.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
This is your fourth year,
I believe so, yes.
huh?
It's my second year, only I started beginning of last January, so doing this one.
Any other discussion, question? Can I get a motion to approve this special application? Special event? Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know it.
Okay, we'll move on to departments. And the first one will be police department. Chief, would you fill us in?
Evening. Well, my first official council meeting standing before you, so I guess we'll kind of get an idea of what in the future you'd like to hear from us. First and foremost, no big issues, no big problems. Things are going fairly smooth. We're obviously in a little bit of a transition period. We fielded about 118 calls for service over the last 2 weeks, varying degrees. I think we had 25 traffic offenses and there's some other investigations that are ongoing. So I am probably going to, I've got one vehicle that may have some transmission issues. So probably get it over the high tech and have them put on a scan tool and see if it can lead us to what might be wrong with it. And got some tires I've got to put on a couple other ones to get them up to speed, and kind of going through equipment right now, going through budget, seeing where we're at. So really just getting my feet wet and kind of getting to know everybody for the most part. So.
Any questions for Mike? I'd just like everybody to know that on Mike is completed, we should be hearing back from Post on his temporary certification. So really gets the rest done through the academy, but everything has come back good. His psych evaluation, his criminal history. Yeah. Anybody's ever taken one of those, you'd understand where he'd come. I have.
7 hours. And
They are different, but anyway, and then what was the other one? Criminal history, the cycle.
history, yeah.
Oh, and his regular physical with the doc. So everything comes back good. So now we're just waiting on Post to send over his temporary certification.
And then we can really dig in. That's the part I'm looking forward to the most, I think. So, you know,
Everything's moving well and moving fast, so. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to the fire department. The past mayor was supposed to be here, but he's got little kids in wrestling. So he sent me a text on what they had done. And I'll just go through it real quick. It says, they had their meeting. We didn't have much to report. We had one call for a CO2 alarm. And we had our elections of officers. They were, Pat Walliser will be the chief. Assistant chief will be Tom Westring. Captain will be Nick Carey, and the lieutenants are Creed James and Ryan Wells. And that's what the police department had to report to them. Any questions or concerns on that? Okay, we'll move on to the longest part of the agenda, the recreation department.
All right.
Could you scoot that mic over? People in the rear have trouble hearing, especially when you get old like me. And I'm up front.
All right, so I'll start with the action items that are on the agenda. First, we have our special event permit for our winter festival. The rec department or the Recreation Commission would like to host an event at Veterans Island on February 19th. It's a winter carnival in cooperation with Kiwanis to have another ice skating rink event. So we'll have broom ball, cornhole, hot chocolate, chili. What am I missing?
Just general games, I think.
We're anticipating anywhere from 100 to 150 people. We'll need about 20 volunteers. We'll be using Veterans Island, parking at Veterans Island or Never Forget Park, overflow parking lot, parking to the hot pool parking. And police department presence, we just need to walk through just to provide presence. Trash removal, we'll just remove to the dumpster at the end of the event. And we'll use the porta potties that are currently at the island. Kathy Beck will be the on-site manager and Jenny Bureau will be the alternate on-site manager. So just like to ask council to motion to approve our special event permit application, I guess.
Any question for Sarah on this?
I don't think so.
Do I have a motion to approve the special events?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. You're good to go there.
Next agenda item, I have the Wyoming Community Gas Grant. Just requesting to submit this grant on behalf of the town of Saratoga for $2,500. So when I first took this position, I kind of made it a mission to update the equipment in the gym and the low impact fitness room. Last year I was awarded this grant and we started that process with some fitness equipment for our fitness classes. And I would just like to submit this grant again for the same thing. There's lower impact weights, banquet chairs for low impact fitness classes, yoga pillows, and some yoga mats or club mats for our fitness classes that we host. And along with that, we have a resolution that will need to be read and approved as well. So first, I'd just like to request the permission from the council to submit the Wyoming Community Gas Grant.
Is it complete?
Yes.
Motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Okay.
And along with this grant, we have resolution number 2023-02. That is in your packet. Do you want me to read it in its entirety?
Right here, if you want to read it.
Resolution number 2023-02, a resolution authorizing submission of a community improvement grant application to Wyoming Community Gas on behalf of the governing body of the town of Saratoga for the purpose of purchasing fitness equipment for various fitness classes and programs in Saratoga, Wyoming. Whereas the governing body of the town of Saratoga desires to participate in the Wyoming Community Gas Grant Program to assist in financing project, and whereas the governing body of the town of Saratoga recognizes the need for the project, and whereas the Wyoming Community Gas Grant Program requires that certain criteria be met, and to the best of our knowledge, this application meets those criteria. And now, therefore, it has been resolved by the governing body of Saratoga that the grant application in the amount of $2,500 be submitted to Wyoming Community Gas for consideration to assist in purchasing fitness equipment for various fitness classes and programs. Passed, approved, and adopted this 17th day of January 2023, the town of Saratoga. Mayor Chuck Davis.
Do I have a motion pass this resolution as read?
Make motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay.
Next in your packet, I have cycling room equipment purchase request. This is a request to purchase 3 new Kaiser spin bikes. By purchasing these 3 new bikes, we can update the cycling room to where we can hold classes of 8 people instead of just the 5. It will lead us to have 9 bikes. So we have 1 instructor bike and 8 cycling bikes. I have 3 quotes here. My recommendation would be to go with quote number 1 through Sport and Fitness for a total of $2,265. This will be included in budget line item 10-445-486, which is gym equipment. And we have a little over $5,000 left in our budget in that line item.
What was the other quote?
Colorado Cardio. They quoted us $2,547, and the third quote, Recovery for Athletes, quoted us at $4,890.
Are all the bikes about the same quality?
They are. The quote 1 and 2, those are for new refurbished or used refurbished bikes. But they all have their odometers, and their odometers on them are less than what our current bikes are. And Recovery for Athletes, those are for brand new bikes.
Do they come with any kind of warranty? The refurbished?
They come with a year warranty on parts.
Any other questions on those?
So the new ones are 4,000 and the used ones are. The new ones are almost 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
And-
comparable to those that are in there, right?
They are. So we have 2 different kind of bikes right now. We have the Kaiser M3Is and we have the Kaiser M3s. These are Kaiser M3s. The only difference is the adjustable handlebars on the newer model. The other bikes that we have in there, they're, older than at least 2017. The 5 Kaiser bikes that we have were purchased from 2017 to 2020.
You'd move in the new cycles for the class, so we have that available, and then what'd you do with the old?
They will take those with us. No, that's part of the quote. They will take them. Or they'll be destroying them, I imagine. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I didn't quite understand that about they're taking part of them.
They'll take the oldest bikes that we have. So we have a few styles that are 2017 models and older.
Yeah.
They don't have digital gears on them. They just kind of are space takers right now. Nobody uses those bikes. So they'll take this.
And that's not counted in the 5 you already have.
Right. It's not counted in those 5 that we already have.
Okay, now I understand.
Any other questions? And the money is in your budget.
It is.
Do I have a motion to approve Sarah to buy these bikes?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And the last agenda item I have is the wage discussion that was tabled at the last meeting for Jada Jennings. With that, so Jada Jennings worked in the summer of 2022 as a seasonal employee at the pool. Upon being hired, she was hired at the wage for lifeguards at $11 per hour. She has requested to change her position to the off-season months for the pool to an open gym supervisor. This position is covered by the grant, and they cover $10 per hour. So I just request that we can change Jada's salary to the $10 an hour. It's a position change as a whole, so that's why I'd like to do it. I have 3 other open gym supervisors. We've all worked longer than Jada at this time, so I would hate to start Jada at a higher rate than what they make. Jada is aware of the change and would still like to be an open gym supervisor. The rate change,
will she go back to the pool next year?
it sounds like it, yes.
We'll be back in here raising her pay again.
Unless there's a way of putting it in, they're 2 different departments, so I don't know. I've spoken to a few treasurers around the town or around the state. And it sounds like there would be a way through Councill that you could put her in under 2 different departments. And have an hourly,
Does it?
yeah, you can have her add an hourly rate of $11 if she's working for the pool. And an hourly rate of $10 if she's working for the rec department. That's something that would have to be changed in the office.
And she's, the biggest thing is we don't want to lose her if she, but she is aware of all this and is willing to do it.
Yes.
Any other questions? So. Questions? Do I have a motion to reduce this young lady's salary by $1 an hour for the duties she's gonna be doing now as a
Gym supervisor.
open gym supervisor?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Okay.
Next action items onto my director's report. The gym hours of operation. We have non-members who are, the facility is open to Monday through Thursday from 9 to 2, and members, the gym is open to them Monday through Friday from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. School activities and rec department activities will take priority over our gym schedules, so it's best to reserve space if you would like to have court time. We have roughly 50 members who have signed up for the gym and weight room. As of now, fitness classes are still going. Schedules posted on the gym door. Youth activities, youth basketball registration opened on Monday. You can apply online or register online through pbysports.com, or you can fill out the paper registration form that was sent home through the schools. The deadline for that is February 10th, and we will start the season February 20th. Currently still have our ice skates available to rent. And we will start an adult rec league volleyball tournament in February. Signups will open next Monday, the 23rd.
Okay. Sounds like you're busy.
Staying busy.
It's good. Good. Any other questions for Sarah?
There will folks be able to check out schedule and rec department information soon, maybe on the website?
On the town website. I think we're still working through.
I know that you guys were working on getting that together, so maybe we'll give everybody a heads up when they can find that information there. Currently, everything's on
Yeah.
Facebook, yeah.
You might be able to put it on social media and all that. Once we get it up and running on the website.
Correct, yes.
But Sarah also has access to her own Facebook page for the rec department.
Oh,
And it's
shows you where I know.
bysports.com. We have a account available as well, so. To show if the court's available.
Before we move on, I'm gonna make sure, did you get all the information you'll need for payroll on that? Pay reduction? Do you need anything else for your records? Okay. Okay, we'll move on. Thanks, Sarah. We'll move on to Department of Public Works. And what they've got is a request to purchase 2 drums of oil at $1,800 and to purchase 1 pallet of salt for $560. I don't know if the purchase request has been filled out or they,
I don't think it's been filled out.
okay, I will look at that tomorrow, but anyway, do I have a motion for the Public Works to purchase, and I think we can do this as one.
I got something to say about this a little bit.
Okay,
We got a whole building of salt over here and a truckload of salt in that shed. How come they don't use that spread on the sidewalks and stuff?
yeah, that I don't know. I don't know if that ice slicer, I don't know if it's different than what they spread on the sidewalks. I really don't. That would be a question we would have to.
I know.
Yeah, and I do know in their defense, salt has really took a jump.
Yeah.
All of that. So before we purchase that, we can definitely find out why.
It'd make more sense if, I mean, there's no reason they couldn't get a bucket of that over there. You know, unless there's a reason.
And yeah, and I don't know.
I mean, we already paid $4,500 for a truckload of it.
Yeah. we did.
Yeah.
It comes in them bags, doesn't it?
No, they back it in with the truck and
Yeah.
dump it in that building.
Oh, I
So
did not
maybe,
know this.
yeah. I mean,
Should
there's
have
no
asked
sense
that
in buying bag stuff if we can scoop it and
Well, I agree.
5 gallon.
I mean, if we're-
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I would ask for a motion to at least purchase the oil.
Make a motion.
So I have a second. All in favor? Okay, and we'll table that other one. What I'll do is I'll just, I'll get with, the street guys and find out why.
Yeah, so I can talk to them.
Okay, all right, if you want to do that, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, and we'll table that one for right now. All right. Other than that, they've just been fixing a few water leaks. It seems like we've had a few of the expansion tanks blow out on the water meters, and they're slowly getting those put back together. I think we're all up to speed right now. They didn't have any leaks as of today that they were aware of.
And we're talking about maybe moving them into the buildings instead of in the manholes. And then they won't rot out. That's what they're doing.
There were, yeah, and I don't know, has there been talk of that?
That's what we discussed today.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so I don't know. We probably have to get a list of them all, figure out what we're doing. Because most of them are inside houses.
Correct.
Have regular meter pits. But the ones that had manholes that you crawl in, they put them in the manhole instead of having them in the building. Which it doesn't really matter which place they are, but they'll last 3 times as long in a building.
Well, it seemed like they lost 3 at the school within a week,
Yeah,
and they were all in the manhole.
yeah, so we'll look at maybe changing. the way
I
we do
wonder, would you ask Chuck if he can come up with a list
that. Yeah.
of
Yeah,
the ones
I'll
that
talk
we
to
know
him
are
and
out?
See how many's out there
Yeah,
and get back with you on all that.
because at the rate they're going, we're gonna have more trouble. Craig,
So it's gonna text, the ice slicer is the big stuff that's in the shed,
Correct.
and so it can't fit through the truck spreader. That's why they're requesting the salt that goes to the truck spreader in the back of the truck. So it's different size ice.
coarser then.
Yeah, the ice slicer is bigger, so it won't go through the truck spreader.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I thought he was gonna answer this one on these expansion tanks for the meter pits.
No. Bye.
Okay, darn. Anyway, if you would talk, I don't know. Chuck would have to be the one to verify that
Yeah,
because I have no idea.
then we might check into if you order the ice slicer by grit. If they screen it when they bring it, maybe getting finer ice slicer, I don't know.
Sure.
If we can save $4,000 a winter.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it's a conversation with Paul Pasco.
Yeah. Okay. He orders it then?
I believe, well, he requested, I believe, so.
Okay.
Anyway, talk to Lasco on that before we order another pallet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just barely over. We can get it approved.
Yeah.
If they run out, I think they still got enough for a while. Anyway, okay. Any other discussion on that? And you'll take it back to them.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Jerry. Moving forward, reports from the boards and commission. Community Center Joint Powers Board. Kathy?
Last meeting, we had a budget review with our foundation folks. I don't have anything additional to report. Now, next meeting is February 13th, 4:30 at PBCC.
Any questions on that? Okay, we'll move on to the Water and Sewer Joint Powers Board. You have some backup here. You got Craig.
I'm not no more.
He's a quitter.
Well, yeah.
No, we got a resignation from Mr. Topaz, and so there'll be a new position available there.
And the board was gonna take care of the advertisement for that, correct?
I believe it goes to the town to advertise it, correct? That's what I thought. Because
That's what I thought, and then somebody said no.
it's a town appointed position. Yeah, we went back and forth on that, but it's a town.
Did I talk to you?
You asked me to advertise it.
Thank you for finding me out again.
So we had that. And we also discussed some amendments we're gonna make to some ordinances to maybe do away with some confusion on tap fees and termination fees and kind of try to straighten some of that stuff out. That's sounds like it's in several different places that contradict each other, so. I believe that was. Guess I need. We're going to, I guess, do we need to make a motion to advertise that position?
No. In fact, you already did, didn't you? Already been advertised.
Okay. I think that was all I had there for high points.
Well, the only thing I can add to that, I was also at the meeting, is the next day Ryan Monk brought in, and he had printed out all the ordinances dealing with the water and sewer. And he said it had been discussed amongst the board numerous times, and he had highlighted some of the changes that the board was willing to make, but I think before the town looks at that, we need to take that back to the joint powers board and make sure that everybody's in agreement with the one. There was nothing super major in there. that they wanted to change. It was little changes.
Like,
Oh, for example, if you terminate your, like, for example, I'll just use Mike. Mike's got some vacant land over there that he purchased that has a meter pit on it with a meter. And that can be terminated and then he doesn't have to pay a monthly bill on it. But if, say, he sold that land, and they wanted to put something on it, then whoever come in would have to pay for a new water and sewer tap. Or a new water and sewer tap. And then if Mike wanted to do something with it, he also would have to pay a new water and sewer tap. And right now, it's kind of just out there in limbo on what to do. Do you have anything to add to that? That's one of the changes that they're looking at.
Just to clarify,
Yes,
so many different options.
the way it reads.
Clarify as best we
There
can.
was some, well, he wanted to know, there was some fees in there. Do we need to address these fees? One of them is for a contractor that hooks up with water, like a subdivision. Contractor pays so much to get the water to there and then through his land. And then their water and sewer taps are charged off of that, but the contractor has to pay the town X amount of dollars for the size of line that's run, I believe is how that reads.
the tap fees.
Tap fees, yeah.
Yeah, connection fee. It's not really a tap fee, it's a connection fee onto city services.
Yeah, and there's been numerous conversations about this in the past that, you know, I think the town and joint powers boards needs to get together to discuss what road they want to go down for all these different associated
Yes.
fees.
And that was a change. They're just, it just needs to update it, I guess, is what it needs, revamp, It's not, like I said, it's nothing super serious. It'd be adding some wording, maybe removing some wording. I don't see where it would cost very much for that to be done. I really don't.
So just trying to make it a little more cut and dry, so there's not. so
Did you have
many conflicting-
I got two things, and first, Chuck did volunteer his time to do it, so. Right?
What?
Which,
Yeah, once you guys made the decision,
Yeah,
if you want me to make the decisions, then
to help facilitate that.
yes, I did. Because basically they need to be run through our town attorney.
Yeah, I think they need to look at that and these deals where people can't pay their water bill and get shut off. There's a fee to turn it back on. But before they weren't letting them turn it off. They just keep charging them. And I went through that myself with apartments I had rented out. And there was $5,000 worth of fees on there. And they'd shut his water off 2 years before that. But charged every month. And that also needs to be addressed while we're addressing the
That,
tap fees and all that.
that was one of them, Gary, that was on there. It was noted.
Yeah,
Yeah, so in fact, that was even discussed briefly in the meeting.
Yeah,
yeah, and for people that are gonna be gone all winter, that want to shut it off. I don't think they should be able to shut it off and not pay anything. But they should be maybe a reduction of a monthly fee,
I think there's a minimum.
a minimum a month.
Is what it
Yes,
is set up.
But yeah, and that's what we're looking at doing is basically, and this was brought up one of the first meetings I ever attended before I was ever elected, that they need to revise some of the ordinances.
yeah,
So what I can do is the ones that Ryan made notes on, I can make copies. I can get it back to them. I can give it to the council to review on some of the notes that he made that was brought up, but it's got to be a joint thing between us and the
yeah,
joint powers board.
yeah.
But it does, if
In
you,
reality, that hookup fee is to pay the cost of digging and tapping that water line,
Mhm,
is what the initial is for,
correct,
hooking your tap up. So if you're just shutting it off and turning it back on 2 years later, would it be a full tap fee? Does it really have no cost?
if they pull the meter, yeah. If you sign the document that would be like Mike would,
Yeah,
if you signed a document, and he will have to abstain from anything we decide on that.
yeah,
Because he's, but
conflict of interest, yeah.
But yes, if he gives up total right, even though all they would have to do would be to put a meter in there, yes, you would pay a full tap fee. And who knows, by then, the way stuff gets ate up around here, probably have to replace the line anyway. So,
Which,
plus some of, we want to make sure that it's all in compatibility with safe drinking water. The law on that, so, but yeah, that's some of the things that needs to be addressed
Yeah.
in those ordinances, and it's time, to relook at some of the ordinances. I believe there's a few that the planning commission is gonna bring before that need to be looked at. That's kind of, well, one of them is a sign permit that we talked about earlier. That's just an example of some of the ordinances we need to update and get going with.
So one other thing for the vacancy, I believe you do have to formally make a motion to advertise that.
Yeah, oh, for the vacancy?
Yeah, to advertise for the Joint Powers Board vacancy.
I didn't know we had to formally do that, but I will. Do I have a motion to advertise for a vacancy on the Joint Power Water and Sewer Board?
make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we officially did it.
All right.
Anything else on that, Jacob?
If so, we'll be meeting February 8th again, so.
Need to make them before the council meeting, and then if you guys come up with something, you don't have to wait till the next one.
What's between them?
Okay, we'll move on to the planning commission.
Our minutes pulled up here, so I can give us a quick review. So our meeting last Wednesday, we started with the reelection of the commission member officer positions. I was voted as chairperson. Mike Lampert stayed his position as vice chairperson, and Lindy Glode kept her position as secretary. We had a very long discussion on setting some goals for the year, so we could try to be a little more proactive. I think it feels like in recent years, we've been a little more reactive and just kind of dealing with the variances and the things the community bring to us. And we were hoping this should be proactive and try to set forth some goals and set some deadlines for us. So things that were on our radar to start working on, and some of these are short-term goals, some of them are 3 to 5 year goals. There's a couple ordinances that have been being kicked around the last 6 months, one pertaining to the sign variances and sign ordinances. And the other language in the retail business code about uses within the resort clause. And Mayor Davis has volunteered to look into that and talk to our lawyers on if it needs to be revised, because half the council's reading or commission's reading it one way, the other half is reading it the other. And so there's some debate on whether or not it actually needs revision.
Actually is a little bit confusing. What's this on?
That specific one is on the retail business clause or retail business code and permitted uses. Within that, there is a resort section, and it says if you're a resort, and it defines what resort is, then you're permitted to do these 8 things. But so the confusion is, do you have to be a resort to do those things? Or those things are just permitted if you're a resort, like things like microbrewery in there and wedding event venue and ATV rentals and outdoor music venue. So there's it's been brought to our attention that it's potentially unfair. Why do you have to be a resort to do these things? Either these things are allowed in retail business or they're not. And so we're trying to decide, does that language need to be changed or not?
And there again, I think it could all be resolved with some wording. I don't think it was intended that you had to be a resort to do these things. Maybe it was, don't know, but I think with some,
We adopted most of this stuff, so it really.
yes,
Well, this
All of
pizza code was intentionally written when the Saratoga Resort kind of came to town and requested certain permissions. So that was an intentional piece put in. And I think some of the motivation behind it was they have the size of lot and business that has certain amenities like parking and bathrooms and not residential property right around their main complex. So maybe these certain things were permitted, like outdoor music venue, that maybe the town as a whole didn't think should always be permitted in retail business. But I don't know whether or not that is allowed, if it's legal, showing some sort of favoritism to the resort, because it's not really written out. Why does the resort get to use this as opposed to any business? Like if I bought a lot in retail business, the way I read it, I couldn't open a microbrewery the way it's written.
Yeah.
Because you have to be a resort to do that. So
If
some
you-
of the language seems unnecessary.
it is confusing. And I don't think it was any intent there to limit, like if you wanted to open a microbrewery, you wanted to do ATV rentals, as a retail business. I don't think it was, you didn't have to become a resort to do that. No, I don't believe there was intent to do it that way, but the wording, so I'm gonna have the attorney go through it and look at it and get an opinion.
So
And that's what I volunteered to do because it is our ordinance and we're the only ones that can change.
For, like, if the resort had a band, do they have to get a permit for an outdoor event?
Not according to this, they don't have.
according to the wording now, they don't have to,
Yeah,
which
and I've never agreed with the whole permit thing to begin with. We're in a small town. If we have problems with events, we need to solve them in different ways.
so there's been some complaints that it's unfair that the resort doesn't have to get a permit,
Yes, I
but anybody else does.
see that.
And there's something that needs to be addressed in it. There's no doubt. But we need to get, it wasn't, I don't think it intentionally come out that way. As far as some of the permitting, yeah, we are a small town. But when you have an event in a residential area, you gotta put some hours on it. The only way you can do that
Hours
is
on it, I
through
agree with.
a permitting type situation, where there's probably the only place, well, I guess you could hold it on a golf course if you wanted to. That's theirs, so.
But if they have bands down at the restaurant. I mean, that right there is.
That requires a special permit, correct?
Yeah, so if, say, the mall wants to have music on the patio, we are technically supposed to put,
The town even does it.
See, and I totally disagree with that in a small town, because if somebody comes through that plays music, they can't just start playing music
Fire
that
up,
day
yeah,
up there.
yeah.
It
I see
makes
what
no
you're saying.
sense in a small town to me.
So, but anyway, it definitely, that's one of the things that's on their goal list that they wanted to look at.
Yeah,
so yeah, our short-term goals are wrapping up some of the ordinance discussions from this previous year. One being the signs, the other being the retail business discussion. Midterm goals, we have the YDOT TAPS grant for our pathway master plan. We're going to start, we created a subcommittee so we can start looking at consulting firms and figure out who we are interested in going into contract with. We hope to be under contract by June with that. To pull up our other document here. Other midterm goal. Oh, we want to continue a discussion about short-term rentals in town, so Airbnbs, VRBOs. There's been a couple citizens who brought it up that are these legal? Are they allowed? Should there be some sort of permitting process? There should be a limit. And the planning commission currently is not making any sort of legislation. We're just trying to collect information from the community. And so we're talking about holding a public workshop sometime in the next month or two, just to get feedback from both sides, because the few people who have come to the meetings have been very passionate on both sides about what the town needs to be doing. So we're just kind of in a information gathering phase. And then a couple of our long-term goals for the next year, could be 2 to 3 years. There's some zoning map things that we would like to update. And there's been some discussion about affordable housing. We have one of our commission members is on a statewide board for trying to solve the affordable housing issues in Wyoming as a whole. I think most small towns deal with it, especially seasonal towns where there's kind of, you need a seasonal workforce, you don't necessarily need it year round. And then just general affordable housing. And so we're just kind of starting again, the conversation on, is there something the town can do to help? Is there any sort of incentives we can do? Just kind of in an information gathering phase. And so goal setting, we discussed the retail business ordinances, and yeah, I think that was most of it. The zoning report, you said there was.
It was a good meeting. They put together their goals. Now they're gonna, by the next meeting, they'll have them prioritized. Hopefully we'll get them prioritized and then move forward. And by that time, I'll have an answer on this retail business resort information. So, because it is confusing, it needs to be addressed probably. It's kind of like some of the ordinances with the water and sewer.
Thank you.
The only addition I have to that is we have a letter of interest from Joe Swartz. They have a vacancy on the planning commission, and he attended the last planning commission meeting. Joe, if you would, we have the letter. I don't think there's any sense in reading it. If you want to come up and talk to the town just a little bit, tell them why you're interested and.
Well, the pay is great.
Yeah.
I mean, I could use the money. I moved here permanently about 1.5 years ago, and I really want to be part of solving the problems of this town, working with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and using my background, starting and running businesses for over 40 years to, work with the council, work with the commission, and try to make this a better place to live for all of us. That's really my motivation. I have the time to do it, and I want to do it.
There any questions?
That's it.
For
Where are you
Joe?
from?
Hang on. You may have questions.
Am I from originally?
Yeah.
Bronx.
Bronx.
And my wife calls me a Jew boy from the Bronx.
Right.
I don't know. That's what she calls me, but she's a Wyoming girl.
And businesses.
I owned radio stations for many, many years, all over the country. The last 20 years, pretty much out here. Montana. I did not get Wyoming. I tried. Montana, Colorado, Utah. I own radio stations all over. I've worked with small businesses forever. I've worked with municipalities. Because building towers, building radio stations, I've had to work with, quite a few boards. I'm very aware of businesses and their problems, because that's what we do as radio stations. We solve our clients' problems, marketing and advertising and growing their businesses. So my background is all that. And I think that could be helpful to some degree to help this town. And I'm not leaving. I'm here. My wife is a native Wyoming. What is it? A Wyomingite?
Wyomingite.
Right. And she's from Fremont County, but she's been here in Saratoga almost 10 years. So we know this area, very well. So any other questions?
What do you think needs fixed?
Oh, God. Well, it's not a matter of fixed. Fix is a bad word. We all want this beautiful town to be as beautiful, attractive, as habitable, as affordable as we possibly can make it. Is that an easy job? No. McCall brought up trying to find affordable housing. You know, that's gonna be tough. That's not an easy thing. And that's not only here, it's statewide. And trying to find funds and trying to, you know, make it easier for people to afford rents here, et cetera. That's a big issue. And it's something I've already looked into and already done a little work on. I haven't told you, but I have. And I think that's important. I think there's a lot of things here that we could, you know, work on and do and just make it as good as we possibly can. I just want to serve my community. And that's it. No other motive.
Yeah.
And the money was good, as I said before. The money was perfect. What else can I answer for you, Jerry?
Are you retired or?
I'm kind of semi-retired. I do consulting work. We are, my wife and I are building a radio station here. We're in the process of raising the funds. So, and it's going to be very, I mean, I put them on all over the country. I'm not saying I know any more than anybody else, but we have our own ideas and ways we want this to be. And, you know, I've worked in all kinds of environments, corporate environments, entrepreneurial environments. And what interests me is building a community-oriented radio station for all of you and to give people a voice in this town. And not only in this town, but in Carbon County. So the radio station will be heard all over Carbon County and hopefully further. What else? So I'm kind of in a lot of different business. I do a lot of different things. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Looking forward to it.
I have a motion. Do you have anything to say on this, McCall?
No, I mean, Joe was at our last meeting and we kind of.
So I'd entertain a motion to appoint Joe Schwartz to the planning commission.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You're a new member of the planning commission.
Thank you.
McCall will tell you when they have it. Because I have to look at my date sheet. Okay. All right. So we got that. Okay, we'll move on to the Recreation Commission. Kathy?
Okay, so our last meeting, we welcomed a new member. Amber Waldron joined us. We opened discussion for 2023 on objectives and purpose of the commission and talked about member responsibilities, officers and roles. So we've got some further discussion to have on that. Potentially update town code on the commission, on the rec commission. We had our election of officers, Danny Bureau's the president, Amber Waldron's the vice president. We hit her hard, right? We welcomed her and then elected her as vice president. And then Secretary Lauren Cragen. We discussed 2023 events. So we've got sort of a high level outline of what we expect to have in events for 2023. We'll identify those and communicate that to the public probably here in the next month or so. Our first activity is the one that Sarah mentioned earlier, our winter festival that we're partnering with the Kiwanis group. So that's Sunday, February 19th, 1 to 4. It's family friendly. We'll have games. We've got folks volunteering to bring out chili and treats and hot chocolate and things. So bring your families out to have some fun. We're starting an initiative to have event committees. So we've got folks involved on the commission who are sort of heading up new activities for the year. Next meeting is February 7th, 2023 at 6 p.m. here. That's it.
Any questions for Kathy? Okay. We'll move on to the airport board. We haven't had a meeting yet with the airport board, so I'm gonna kind of turn this part over to Marie because you got the billing and everything.
The first action item is a pay request to Lewis and Lewis. This, I believe, will finish up the airport entrance road project. So we just need a motion to pay this.
And the amount?
The amount is $36,379.05.
Is this totally reimbursable? Or is this,
We've already received the money from the state for this.
okay? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I'm trying to take notes and do this at the same time. So the second action item is request for reimbursement. This is for YDOT, and this is for the amount of $24,414.72. This is money that we have already received. Or actually, take it back. We're reimbursing, I believe, us, right? Am I getting this backwards? For the reimbursement, the RFR for YDOT.
That one.
You've got the money and then we have to pay.
That's right, backwards. So we receive the money first and then we reimburse YDOT.
Oh, okay, so we have to give this back to YDOT?
24,000.
Yeah,
Is it a grant?
It is a grant, yes.
Okay, it's a grant we receive and then we pay YDOT X
For,
amount or
we didn't use it all?
no, so the invoices attached to this are all the invoices that we have paid for this. So this is for the apron expansion project. So one of the invoices is for IFE. The next was Saratoga Sun. A lot of it was for Sage Civil Engineering, for the project manager, design engineer, support engineer. So this is all part of the grant that's reimbursed.
and what project is it?
Apron expansion project.
Which is
You did the. What that is.
Yeah. Do I have
I don't see how the invoices attached are related to YDOT. I mean, these invoices total, I think exceeds that amount. So this request is to pay YDOT.
I apologize. I'm not familiar 100% with the airport. And I wasn't ready to talk about it for this meeting.
Like,
I don't think anybody was 100%. What was the total amount again, Marie?
$24,414.72. So this request is in Black Cat. And so all of their airport grant reimbursements are always put into Black Cat, which is a grant program through the state. And all the invoices are attached to it. And so not only does the state check it, but it does go through the FAA and they check through everything as well.
Okay, I see where they come up with their 24,000. According to this, that would be the FAA share, is $24,414.72.
I just know that there's going to be another request for reimbursement after this. Since it's not complete yet.
Go to the back invoice. You can look down through here and you go. It's Sage Engineering. And architectural cost is $22,757. Administrative cost is $1,500. And an additional $157.50 administrative cost, which totals your $24,415. Be a 50-50 match. I'm gonna ask for a motion to table this until I do some research, because I'm not understanding it. And it's probably something we do owe, but so we can explain it better. I'm gonna ask for it to be tabled. Do I have that motion? Motion. I have a second.
Second.
All in favor? And I will do some research on that tomorrow. Okay. Then the last item on the airport, Marie.
It's for the Saratoga Jet Center, the 20,000. There is a difference on the agenda versus the invoice, but it's for $1,305. It's for snow removal and mowing.
That we pay for. And that's the agreement with the airport.
And this is in the budget.
Yes, and this is a budgeted item. The mowing goes back to, back when they were mowing and then the snow removal, which is about 14,575 for snow removal so far this year, which is a little bit more than what the town for snow removal. So,
Mr. Mayor, I have a comment on those.
sure. Would you come?
When I was on the airport board, there was no services agreement written between the FBO and the town. And so the submission for services is based on what they submit, not on an agreement between the two entities. Secondly, the equipment that is being used is a major portion of it was funded by the airport and the FAA. So while I am not taking issue with the billing, I suspect that maybe a closer look at the amount might be in the town's best interest. Just an observation.
Okay. Interesting. It's broke down on that last page. Bill is.
Equipment usage. All usage.
Well, all I know for sure is it was a budget line item. Snow removal and mowing, correct?
Correct.
I can do some research on this. If you so want me to. Because honestly, I don't know what the agreement is either. If there was a new one reached, Maria, are you aware of anything the past council did?
No,
So how long is this for a period of? If it's got brush mowing, this isn't for just the last month?
I'm not sure.
I've seen the mowing part before.
You see no timeline on here. I
No dates.
see a date on the top. 30/22.
Like an annual.
It should be, it should have a daily breakdown.
I do know there was another invoice, exact same amount last year. So it seems to be an error, but I'm not sure.
That's why.
And that could be through December. Because the budget line item was 38 something. Correct? Or 35,000.
For which part?
The budget line item for the total for our year was 35 or 38,000. This could be through the end of the year is what this is. An actual payment. I'll be more than happy to do some research on this. Talk to the chairman of the board. I mean,
I'm sure it's an annual deal. It's gotta be, otherwise it wouldn't have mowed
yeah,
unless it was 6 months back.
Oh, yeah, the mowing would have been done in September, probably.
Yeah.
The last mowing, maybe October. So,
The last one we paid.
Correct.
Was a year ago.
Yes.
Okay, so it's gotta be annual.
we can pay it.
Yeah, but it's gonna have to be paid regardless.
Would you make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to pay $20,205 to Saratoga Jet Center. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Anything else on the airport?
Who's about that? You?
Me and him. And they haven't had them.
Yeah, you guys might get with them and figure out, tell them we need a little more breakdown maybe.
Do you have any input on that, Dave?
I have plenty. I think it's in everyone's best interest. I don't say a thing.
Okay,
I might add to the council that Lad is doing a fantastic job. He's experienced, he's a pilot, he's an aviation attorney. So I would seek his wisdom. So
I go along with that. I have spoken with Lad just recently. Some of the thoughts prior to us being elected before we took office was possibly returning this to an airport board, not an advisory board. And letting them deal with situations like this. Dad told me he had approached and talked to a couple of the council members over the past couple of years about this. He had drafted an ordinance to this effect. It's something that we will look at as a group. I just got a copy of his draft ordinance 2 days ago. And it's something that we might consider down the road, returning this back to the airport board, making a full-blown board. The money all still flows to the town of Saratoga. We still know how much they're spending at the airport. Probably,
Budget that way, maybe.
yes, probably 75% of the money spent at the airport is grant money that they need to be responsible for tracking. We don't have, and one of the reasons I bring this up is because the engineering firm that is now in contract is my understanding that they don't track their own grants, that they expect the town to. Well, we don't have time. The people that we have in the office, we don't have time. It'd probably be, probably a 6-month job to track their grants. Probably take 6 months to track them and do them right. And so, and really, we've received no reimbursement for that time or anything. So why not give it back to the board? I mean, I think I don't know all the issues on why the board was dissolved. I've heard a few. But that has been my thought and it's something that I think this council, we ought to look at and maybe take action on. I mean, not tonight, of course, but, it's just something that I think we should look at. So. Any thoughts? Anything from the public? Like I said, I spoke to Lad, I said, when's your next meeting?
February, they didn't have one this month, so it'd be
Yeah, it's every other month, isn't it?
Monday. Well, they have been doing them every month, but they didn't do one this month. I think most people are gonna be out of town, did they say at that last meeting?
February 13th is
Monday.
So,
says here, February 13th.
so my plan is, whole council can attend if they would like, but I was definitely, myself and Marie was gonna go to it. Because I was gonna explain to them that we don't have time to take care of their grants. I mean, it's a full-time job. We have enough trouble keeping for Marie to track it's received in the town hall. Sarah will be tracking hers and doing all that and managing her grant, you say, so. But that's my thoughts on that. Helly, do you have any thoughts? You were a past member of the board.
When I was on that board, you are correct. The engineering firm, that was part of their job to track the grants. And when they submitted for a grant, they had all of the paperwork. And I agree with you that it is not a job that needs to fall back on town council. It's a huge job and it requires coordinating with the FAA and YDOT as well as the town. So it's a lot and it's always big money. So it's a lot to keep track of. So I agree with you. I think it's a good move.
So anyway, that was my thought. That was my thought coming in, and especially after talking with Marie and she started telling me how she's got a pile about this high of stuff from the airport to look at now. So, I just think it'd be a good move on our part. I mean, like I said, there's a clause, Lad even told me himself, there's a clause in there that the board can be dissolved again at any time just by the council.
Yeah.
There's a clause in there that protects, we have a voting right on that board, so we will be on that board. We know what that board's doing, and so I don't see a problem with it myself, but something that we need to discuss in an open council meeting, possibly in the next couple of months anyway, and decide, because we will have to repeal the ordinance and pass a new one, giving it back to them. Any other discussion from the public? Questions on that? I don't see any need to go into executive session. Does anybody else?
We have Schwimm's right above.
Huh?
Yes, one.
Oh, I'm sorry, forgot the ambulance. Should have threw a pin at me.
So Schwimmers will be funding 2 individuals from Saratoga for EMT training, so that we can have more help in the valley. And besides that, the next meeting is February 20th at 6 p.m. in Saratoga at the ambulance barn.
Do they have people picked out for this?
Yes, there are 2 people that have applied for it.
Oh, okay. So how many, once they complete, how many MTs will that give you?
I'm not sure because some are active and some are not as active.
Oh, okay. Good. Well, and then under new business, I have one thing that I want to challenge the council to now is to write down 4 or 5 goals that you would like to see us do over the next few years. And I challenge the public also to send their goals to us. They can drop them off at the town hall. They can give them to us personally, but I think we need a set of goals and then we can prioritize our goals and move forward. And that's everything I've got. Is there any other items from the public? Any further business? Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
Meeting adjourned.